morning. Morning. Gosh, is there nobody out? Nobody on the bus? The bus is almost full. Good morning. Really? Lee, come on, we're going on a road trip together. Everybody knows road trips are fun, right? Fun? Not boring. You're gonna. Oh, it's gonna be boring if all go. Oh, okay. Good morning. Good morning. That's a little better. So all month of October we are on a road trip. Where do you like to go on a road trip? Nowhere on a road trip. All right. What did you say? To McDonald's. That's my favorite. Rochester on a road trip. New York City? Ooh. Where do you like to go? A restaurant to eat on a road trip?
California.
Oh, that's a long road trip. Myrtle Beach, okay. These are all nice road trips. Lake Placid. Wow. To the Olympics? Were you in the Olympics or you just went to Olympics?
I don't know what that means.
Where? Well, it's kind of not a road trip unless you're going to someplace else where you don't live, right? Okay, so we were going on a road trip because we're all traveling together because the adventure is about, it's kind of cool because we learned already in church. We got a big head start. Pastor Joe started all us off because we are going to learn about the Ten Commandments. Okay, so he just kind of threw it out there for all of us sitting in our commandment. Who knows what commandment even is? What's the word commandment even mean? That's like the Ten Commandments.
Sounds big, doesn't it? What?
Laws. Yeah, like laws, like a rule, right? All right. So we want to learn them because I think we found out that not everybody kind of has them right off the top of their head, and it kind of should be if we're going to be thinking about them all the time. Okay. So I think what we're going to do is kind of think about the idea that the 10 rules are kind of like our road, okay? We're talking about guardrails and things, but we're thinking about like, who's ever gone to a circus or seen somebody on TV like walk a tightrope? Has anybody ever seen anybody do that before? I saw the guy do it across Niagara Falls. He was walking. Did anybody ever see it? So we're going to have, who thinks they could do that? Like if we put rope, I don't know, 10,
It's a high ceiling.
If we had a high rope, who thinks they could walk across that rope without falling off the rope? Right, we got some volunteers. Let's try it. Okay, and we'll see. All right. Do that. All right, so pull it way down there. You volunteered. So, all we need you to do is like start right here and just walk across the tightrope to Mr. Curtis.
Let's see.
Before we get it off the ground and high in here, we'll start here.
Yeah, let's start. You can pretend it's way up high though.
No fall.
It's rolling. We didn't pull it tight enough.
Oh, pull it tighter. Woo! Nice. Give him a hand. And back here, Ashton, you want to come up this time? Let's pull the rope tighter for him. Pull him, and we'll see. We're going to make it a little bit easier. And that way it's right in the middle. It's a little straighter. So the path is a little straighter like that. We'll try to hold it for you and see. Nice. Okay, so what I want to know, is it possible? Can somebody do it?
Yes.
It's not impossible, right? We can do it. Is it easy?
No.
Okay. So, me and Mr. Curtis were talking about this rope kind of being like what God wants us to do when we're walking through life. Like He wants us to walk on this and stay kind of on His path, okay? And He's not saying, oh, it's going to be super easy. Sometimes it's going to be a little harder, and other times you're going to be walking along and it's not so hard. But He wants you to stay on here, okay? Our trouble is, if we do that, that's keeping God first. We talked about that before even when we were here. So we got to keep God first and keep this on our mind and focus just on this and it'll work. But what's the problem of every day that we have that goes on? What else goes on?
Besides just, we don't have time, well, I shouldn't say that. We don't usually make time to just spend focusing on God all day, do we? So what other things come up in life?
What else happens in life? Give me one thing. Something else.
Chores.
Chores. Perfect.
Give another box, mister.
All right.
Chores. Okay, we got chores. What else do we have that comes at us in life?
Having fun.
Oh, having fun, I like
Should
that.
we call it like playing? Playtime? Play?
Yeah.
Fun. Okay, all right. Put it right there. What else?
You know. Helping the dad.
Good.
Helping your dad. Okay, so how about helping everybody in our family? Like just our family, the family things we have to do.
This is the help box.
This is the helping family. Okay, go ahead. Get another box. Give me another idea. Helping our family.
What's yours?
We are with some friends. We are fried or playing.
Well, that's our fun box.
That's our fun box still. How about something else?
TV in school.
Okay.
TV and school.
Is that the same?
Well, sometimes now it's like kind of TV and school at the same time.
I think this is the school box. Okay. This is the school box. That's a big box.
All right. School's a lot. Okay. What else? So he said TV. How about like video games and all, like TV and our iPad? We're gonna call it electronics.
Okay.
All right. Everybody know electronics? Sound
Yeah,
right? Okay,
I
electronics.
have my own phone, TV, and my iPad.
Okay, I think that's a good start. Okay, now let me ask you something about these things. Okay, put your hands down for a second. Let me ask you about these things. Are they bad things?
Good thing.
They're not really bad things, right? Right? They're all good things, helping our family and fun. So they're good things, but they still keep us well busy. Now, our first tightrope walker, you should come back up. And start back down there again, okay? So we're going to spend our time focusing on God and concentrating on what He wants us to walk, okay? Now there's good news because we're going to be talking about the Ten Commandments and they're going to help you stay on here. They're going to help you stay on the road and focus on them. But we're at the beginning of our road trip, so we haven't started talking about them too much yet. So you're kind of on your own. You want to stay focused, okay? But I do want you to think about school and electronics.
And helping your family.
And your family, okay?
All right.
So you have to focus on that, and then you're going to walk with that, okay?
Oh.
Because that's a lot of work, and you got to focus on that, okay? So you're going to, but you got to still pay attention to this, okay?
All right.
So you're going to start walking like that, okay?
Yeah.
Sit
But
over
don't
your
forget you
head.
have to do your chores too, okay? So we don't want to forget that. All right? You're doing good. You're doing good. He looks like he's having fun.
He does.
Is he having fun?
He's having fun. Yes, now he's having fun.
Fun! Oh! Okay, put him down, put him down.
Yeah.
Nice try, nice try. Okay, so give him a hand. Come on! That's a lot of So, honestly, guys, these aren't bad things. They just keep us busy all the time. So, our day goes by and people throw stuff at us, and now we got to do chores, and I wanted to have fun. And what we're going to be talking about is how we stay on the tightrope, okay? Because sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's easier, but if we just focus on these things, it was hard to even see the rope, wasn't it? It was. That's part of the problem, because when we get focused on these things, then it's getting harder and harder to see. So we're going to start looking at the rules. Let's start looking at what was the word for rules again? What are they called? You remember? Commandments. Okay, so we're going to start looking at those, and the cool part is when we open up our Bible, there are lots of stories that talk about them, but we're going to look at one in particular, like we looked at today in church. It kind of
How many of you were in the service
first time we
this
see
morning?
them.
How many of you were in the service this morning? We are going to read the same. How often does that happen? We have the exact same Bible verses in here that we had in there. That's great. So we're looking at the book of Exodus, and that's in the Old Testament, one of the very first books in the Bible. I have the Bible on my phone, so that's what I'm reading. Okay. God spoke all these words. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. Number one, you shall have no other gods before me. Number two, you shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above, or in the earth beneath, or even in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. Now that's a long verse, or a long passage, for our second.
So our first one,
So let's look at the first one first.
he said, do not have any other gods before the one true God, okay? So our first commandment is right there, but this is what it kind of really means. We're going to always put God first, okay? He doesn't want you to put any other gods or any other ideas ahead of him because he wants to be the most important thing in your life. So when we talk about the first commandment, if it's hard to remember the exact words, it's easy to remember that we're just going to always put God first, okay? And guess what's really easy to remember? First commandment, God first. That's it. It's really easy, okay? So if we have to remember the first commandment, it's just, we got to put God first, okay?
So then the second one, that was that longer passage, it said, don't worship idols. But you know what's interesting? In our world, do we have a lot of idols that you
American.
see people that, yeah, that's true, we have American Idol. Do we have people that have a calf in their living room that
I don't even
they
know what idols are.
bow down to? What are they?
Anybody out there can make it easier? Because I don't really understand what that means. What's an idol? Don't worship idols.
How about our electronics, our video games? If we play video games for a little while every day, that's fine. But if you wake up in the morning and you say, Mom, I don't feel good, I'm not going to school today, and you play video games all day, and then when Mom gets home, or later on, I'm not going to come down and eat dinner because I'm playing my video games, and it's time to go to bed, and I play my video games. That's kind of like an idol, isn't it? Because
So
I'm
idol means something that is all you think about.
That's all. You're giving way too much time to it.
Okay, all right. So if you got something in your life that you think more about all the time, that becomes an idol.
So it doesn't have to just be like an image or a thing that we bow down to and worship. It's just something that we devote way too much time to. So God tells us He doesn't want us to worship idols. And that whole passage can kind of be summed up and say, God is the what? Most what? Important. God is the most important.
Okay, so anything that we start putting more important than God becomes
Kind of becomes an idol, doesn't
an
it?
idol. Okay,
Yeah.
so now who knows what an idol is out there? Anybody? No? Better? Still nobody? No?
You know, and
They all have the same color shirt.
you mentioned American Idol. Why did they call that show American Idol? Because sometimes we look at people like singers or a movie star, and we think, man, that's just the coolest thing in the world. And that's fine to like appreciate that person for the way they sing or for the movies that they're in. But if we treat them like an idol, and we think, oh my goodness, they can't do anything wrong, then we're treating them like an idol. aren't we?
So they're not as important as God. So it's hard. I can think. I got another one.
Okay.
What am I thinking of?
Basketball.
Soccer. What else?
Basketball. Yep. Football.
So what do we call it? Sports, right?
Yeah.
Guess what a lot of people are going to do today? What are they going to watch on TV today?
Football.
Is that bad to watch football on TV? Really? Is it bad?
Football.
No, but you know what? Here's an idea that I have. Like when you go to a soccer game, because I had to referee soccer sometimes too. And when you did soccer, some of the parents would yell stuff at you. Okay? Now, it's okay when you're playing sports like that, but guess what? You can kind of put them together. You can still put God first. So if you're watching a soccer game and something bad is happening that you don't agree with, instead of yelling something bad out at the referee or yelling something bad to the team, couldn't you just clap and cheer, and maybe even for both teams a little bit, or just say all the good things that come in your head, right? So even though we're playing sports, you can still put like God first even at that. But a lot of people, it's all about this all the time, right? So if they're always doing sports all the time, and we're wearing all our Bills stuff, and we're watching, and then we kind of forget totally about God completely because we're really just worried because somebody's injured or something happened. Or my kids' team lost the last 3 games, and we got to figure out a way to win. While that's good, if that's all we're thinking about, we're stuck with, again, another idol. right?
Yeah, and you know what, we've also talked about those as being what on our path? When we're on that path trying to stay focused, they become what? They're sort of like you like to watch that
Obstacle
show.
course,
Obstacles,
right?
yeah.
So again, obstacles aren't bad because the more you do and the more you get over, the stronger and better you get. But again, we don't want to stick them in front of ourselves, right? So it's good. It's good to not let them get in the way of staying on that path. What else? What else is a thing that we think about maybe too much? Can you guys give me any ideas that kind of get in the way of?
Minecraft.
That's what one of our boxes was, right? The electronics thing. So all video games are bad, right? Right? All video games are bad.
No, just you can't do it too much.
So if Mr. Curtis, I mean, that's bad, right? He's playing a video game. That's bad. That's a bad thing. We should play video games, right? Oh, it's okay. But it's all about how much time we're spending.
Electronics?
I bet you. Who looked at YouTube this week? Anybody? Did anybody look at a YouTube video this week? One time even? Right? So look at a YouTube video. I know a lot of people look it up and they find out how to do things on there. Some people are watching church on YouTube. It's really not bad. It's just a matter of did we spend 4 hours on YouTube and then we didn't do anything else, okay? So it's about not letting it get more important and becoming that idol that we're talking about. So a lot of people are like, oh man, bummer, this is all about rules. This is like too many rules. But again, he's just trying to help us walk on this path and keep focused on what we're doing.
So maybe in wrapping up, we'll finish with this passage in Philippians, okay?
That's the New Testament.
This is back in the New Testament, so we're moving ahead a few years. Philippians chapter 3, but whatever were gains to me, I now consider loss for the sake of Christ. What is more, I consider everything a loss because of the surpassing worth of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord, for whose sake I have lost all things. I consider them garbage, and I may gain Christ and may be found in him, not having a righteousness of my own that comes from the law, but that which is through faith in Christ, the righteousness that comes from God, the basis of our faith. So is our relationship with God more important than anything else? Is it the most important thing to us? Ask yourself that question. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, is it, if we don't know what our answer is, right?
Sometimes I think we're sitting there thinking, it's like, no, I don't know. Maybe it isn't the most important thing. But that's part of our road trip. That's part of what we're going to be doing this whole month, is looking at some of these things that he's trying to do to help us. And as we start to think about those things and keep them simple, like I say, if we keep them simple down to always put God first commandment, and God is the most important. I don't know, if we just put those two rules together and just think about those, I don't think it's as hard to remember as all the words we're trying to do.
Right.
And I think what's going to happen is it's going to start, maybe it'll help us answer that question. Is God the most important? And maybe sometime when we get up in the morning, if maybe it's not the first thing we're thinking about, maybe it should be.
Right.
And I think as we go on a road trip, as we go through the month of October, we're going to start to get more and more. Maybe we start waking up and thinking about God first thing in the morning. It might start happening, okay? So I think we need to move into our small groups now, right?